Well, good morning, friends and fellow brigaders and gaming enthusiasts, game masters, players, and sundry. You know, this is another installment of Breakfast with the Fat Man. And while I was doing several questions just a moment ago for the RPG Brigades Challenge for the 2017, I had another one of these epiphanies. The word that I know and I understand, but for the love of God, can't ever spell. I'm sorry. I know I actually have a very thick vocabulary, very deep vocabulary, but a I have issues with pronunciation. I have a little bit of I can't think of the term, but I have a tendency to put things in reverse when I shouldn't, and my spelling's horrific. My writing's terrible. I listen to my people at work complain. I mean, you can't see it very well, but that's my handwriting. That's actually print, by the way. That's me printing. I spent so much of my life using word processor typewriters and laptops. That's how old I am. I started out with a typewriter, and then I got a word processor, and then I bought a computer. So I did most of that stuff on that. Even when I was doing my gaming, I was setting my notes up for the material, so on and so forth. I typed it and printed it out because my penmanship was horrific in high school and growing up, and nobody teaches cursive these days. My cursive is so bad, I can't read it, and it's part of it's got to do with the lack of use, right? We don't use it, we don't master it. That's just the way it is. And we can say the same thing for uh, role playing, right? I rambled, but we get to the point. I look at a lot of your guys' videos and blogs, and I listen to some of your stories, and they click. A lot of them click with me, especially your older guys, older gals. I see in these stories my history, my past, the pathway I took as a child, and we grew and developed in a parallel way than a lot of our contemporaries did. That's why so many of our associates or friends in the real world, as you will, are not gamers. They don't get into this thing. They may dabble at it a little bit. They're more into the video game stuff because they don't have to think. They don't have to imagine. They don't have to visualize. They're lazy. They don't have to work. They can just entertain themselves. And obviously, it's a great thing because otherwise it wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar industry. But you know what? And this is what I tell people when I tell them, "Hey, I've been 10 years working on my own game system, blah blah blah," and they said, "Whatever for?" I said, "You know what? This is a $10 billion. This is a $1 billion business. A billion with a B. It still is, and it's something else. There's so much people out there that do buy this material. It can't be the same 25,000 nut jobs like myself and you. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah." You know, yeah, you know. And if I've just insulted you, you know what? Sorry, and that's the way the world works. But you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, right? As children, how many of us started out like every child? You just look out and watch them play. They're pretending. And today, you see the video. I see them in the commercials. The parents hand the kids some fake sabers, and these kids run outside. And next thing you know, they're dressed up as Jedi, and they're running around with real lightsabers and defending themselves against real stormtroopers. And here's ats towering over the house. The imagination of a child living the movie, living the story, living the novel, living the game. We all did that, or most of us diehard enthusiasts started out as children, and we mastered the ability to role play as children. Then we grew up, and for a lot of our contemporaries, they lost that. They stopped doing that when they grew up. They became teenagers and they became immersed in sports and academics. They became immersed in pop culture and trying to be the cool kid or the part of the cheerleader squad or being this clique or that clique or studying to go to college and then for a career and then family. And somewhere along the line, we lost that childish instinct of role playing, of becoming the pretend that we use in role play. The role playing is basically a fancy term for what that is, in my opinion. In my opinion, I'm sure there's plenty of you guys that are far more intelligent than I've been blessed and privileged to have some conversations with a few people that just I'm awed at the way they present themselves, how articulated they are in their videos, and I'm so crude and a clod and a bumbling whatever, but it's in here. It's in here. And while I may not have some of their backstop chops and stuff, I still have what I would consider, a master's degree in gaming from experience. There's no college to go to, university to go to get that degree. You can get game theory and you can get other things that are similar to it, but in reality, you can't exchange for 40 years worth of life experience in this stuff, right? I try to keep a broad mind on a lot of things. I try to keep up somewhat on some things, and I long to keep up on a lot more, but we're back to that financial situation, and then time. I just don't have the time like I did when I was younger. I was a bachelor. Well, I spent a lot of time just focusing on reading and studying and envisioning gaming and creating worlds that my friends would play in and stuff. And that's we've done some blogs on that in the last 6 months. The dark side of the hobby, and if you haven't seen any of those, I would keyword dark side of gaming and see what comes up. You might be surprised at who chimed in on those topics at the time, and what their view on it is. There is such a thing as an isolated mindset to a lot of us who we're more of the guy, the wizard in his library, bent over these musty tomes for studying, and then the bard who's out there entertaining the masses. I mean, it's a mindset, right? But I think that a lot of us, in part, didn't grow up. We took some of that role playing with us. Uh, I will share a small incident in my life. It was in my earlier teens, in my let's just say 13-year-old era, 13, 14, something like that. And my best friends and I were actually outside running around with sticks. We had made wooden guns, so we were pretending we were in Star Wars, and so, it was before we had our driver's license, so it had to be before the permit. Or right at the time the permits came out, and we were using a car in the backyard of my friend Richie's house as a spaceship, and it was summer, and we're coming up on the last week of the year, summer, and school's about to start, and we're going to go into getting into the middle school, junior high stage of things, the latter part of that, and everything changes for you if you give yourself the time to think about that, just how big things changed at that point in life. And some other kids come rolling by and actually made fun of us because they thought, because we're out there role playing, we're out there pretending that we're stormtrooper, we're smugglers running from stormtroopers, and at an age when we should be thinking about girls and sports and a career. And our friend, these fellow members of our age bracket thought tormented us about it. They teased us about it, and in some need to show that they were superior because they had somehow moved on from that stage of their life. And I think in some, we translate this and we carry it over this secret desire, this secret shame to want to continue to pretend to be that child gaming person that we did out there in the world, and live in this fantasy world in our creation in our mind. And this is where you see a lot of people that go into dance and the arts, into acting, into dramatic whatever, because it allows them to smother or mask this childish desire to role play by calling it something fancy, so it doesn't other people won't torment them as much for this. And this is why some people are such natural and talented actors and actresses. They just you can't beat it, right? It's the same like the role playing. Why do we LARP? Why do people LARP if you don't want to reenact basically the childhood play that we did when we were very young? And that's what we're doing, except we have more resources, right? And we give it fancier acronyms and fancier names, and we all actually dress up in costumes. And I've done a little bit of LARPing in the day. You can get some, the high end LARPers are Renaissance people. Don't lie. They get some of them get bent out of shape if you compare it. But that's the truth. Oh, Civil War reenactors are all LARPing, and oh my God, you suggest it to them, and some of them get physically belligerent, which for some old schooly geek persons would have had them turn and run, and me, I just pick up a ball bat and think you are. I can best you with anything. Well, I could have when I was 20. Not so much now. I just get my lawyer and sue the pants off you, right? That's what we do as an adult. And that's the role play thing. No. So, how much of the role playing in your life is this subliminal desire to continue our childhood or built upon our childhood experiences? Because I look at some of these kids that are out there and they play, and I realize that's what they're doing. They're role playing, and I never saw it as that until I got older, and I started in one of these couple of these blogs and some of these other guys, you guys' stuff come along, and I'm thinking, geez, it was so easy for my friends and I when we were 9 and 10 years old to fully immerse ourselves in the gaming material as it came out. And some of it, quite a bit, it was actually over our heads. The mechanics were basics, but the more nuances about it, the spirit of the gaming, the little ways things are supposed to work enmeshed with each other. Well, that was way over our heads, and we ran with what we had, and then gradually became more complex and more complicated and more in-depth and more detail-oriented as we grew in this game, in this hobby, in this gaming environment. So, how much does role playing as children matter? I mean, is there a connection there? Am I, delusional here? Huh? All right. Well, that's just my 2 cents worth on a topic that's just kind of begged to be blabbered about. So until next time, my friends, keep playing. Keep playing.